Often at night, when the stars once again gleamed brightly through the window, Lyra would awaken and gaze for long moments into the cloudless sky, resonant with the melody of celestial spheres. Then, quietly, like a little thief, she would take her pocket flashlight and slip up to the attic. There, among neatly arranged cardboard boxes, in the corner by a small round window that looked like an airplane porthole, she would sit down on an old homespun rug and, like a thirsty traveler in the desert, drink eagerly every word written in that fine, meticulous hand.
I write this journal because I have no one else to share what now lives within me. Any attempt, no matter how gentle, to speak of my ideas or dreams to the other girls ends in bewilderment at best. Laughter and whispering behind my back have become part of my daily life. They believe I'm not in my right mind. As if the essence of life were in strictly following all proper manners, keeping a pious expression while reading the law of God, and chatting with young men about nonsense, in French, of course, nonsense and hypocrisy. And yet, I thank God for the kind and sensitive soul He placed in my path, my teacher, Maria Nikolaevna. Those rare evening hours I spend speaking with her bring clarity to my thoughts and wholeness to my soul.
This stranger's diary from the past rang with the music of another world. It was laced with mystical diagrams and curious sketches, and everything in it somehow echoed the secret universe within Lyra herself. When the voices of dawn birds proclaimed the coming of a new day, Lyra gently closed the thick, time-worn notebook, as though it were a sacred relic. Faint outlines of a once gilded monogram, shaped like the letter P, still shimmered on the cracked leather cover. Carefully placing the old manuscript back into a small cardboard box, she decided to get a bit more sleep. The outline of the old city grew clearer through the morning haze. She walked slowly along a narrow, empty alley. Here and there, little cafes and shops were beginning to stir with daily bustle. Diligent workers polished windows and straightened signs. It seemed that no one paid her any attention, and that filled her with quiet joy. She thanked the world, silently, for this solitude that allowed her to dissolve into space and become invisible. Then, in the distance, the solemn ringing of great bells echoed from the cathedral. She thought about stopping for a cup of hot chocolate at a cozy cafe, but the bell's call urged her onward, toward the hill, where the silhouette of the great temple stood, its massive Orthodox dome flanked by two Gothic towers. With each step, the chime grew louder, more commanding. People began to appear, from homes, from narrow alleyways, drawn by the sound. And as the crowd thickened, she noticed tall faceless figures in black robes moving among them. Suddenly, behind her, dry autumn leaves rustled, lifted into a swirling spiral by an invisible wind. Its sudden chill raced down Lyra's spine. She thought to push deeper into the crowd, hoping the bodies might shield her from the rising sense of dread. But the strange whirlwind had already chosen its victim, and it was coming for her. People moved aside, pressing together. She knew it would find her, even if she hid beneath a monk's cassock. Breaking the centripetal flow toward the cathedral, she turned and began weaving in the opposite direction, twisting her path to confuse the storm. At last, she broke free and fled into a nearby alley. The echo of her heels on the cobblestones rang through the empty quarter. She tried not to listen. Another house, a corner, and in the roar of the approaching wind, her sharpened senses caught voices. Instinctively, she grabbed the cold iron handle of an old, abandoned house. With effort, she yanked the door open. It creaked. She slipped inside and shut it behind her, running through a long corridor with patterned tile floors, strewn with fragments of old newspapers and yellowed photographs. She searched for some small, dark hiding place, and found herself in a wide hall with large arched windows.
At least it's just the wind.
She tried to reassure herself, But the storm outside was rising. The house was surrounded by a spinning vortex.
This is my dream. I'll wake up.
She screamed inwardly, but could not hear her own voice. Threads of energy began pouring through every crack and gap in the house. And now she stood at the center of the whirlwind. It spun like a carousel, lifting from the ground all that had once lain dead and forgotten. Old photographs, crumpled pages, faces from another century. Some strangely familiar. The whirlwind slowed. In the thick dust fog, silhouettes began to form. As if emerging from non-existence. They took their places in a circle. They were women, from every epoch and age of the world. And some of them, Lyra knew, belonged to no known human era. One wore a tiger-skin tunic and carried a long spear. Another, a lace-drenched medieval gown with an intricate hairstyle and diadem. There were warrior women, vestals, priestesses, and nuns. One figure, shrouded in a soft green glow, drew Lyra's attention most of all. But try as she might, she couldn't see her face. The woman was wrapped in a luminous mist. All Lyra could make out was that she held a book. In her thoughts, Lyra didn't notice how silence fell. All eyes were upon her. And from them flowed a power she felt in every cell of her body. Then, a voice rang out. Not from the circle, but from above. It sounded like a celestial harp, though she'd never heard such a sound before. Only later would she discern the word it spoke. From the unseen dome, descending in spirals, the voice said,
I bestow.
Lyra awoke in the abandoned hall. She tried to gather her thoughts, the dream still pressing against the walls of her mind. Uncertain where dream ended and reality began, she moved through the dim hallway toward the exit. Pushing open the heavy door with effort, she stepped into the quiet alley. The stars winked playfully down at her from the dark sky.